YNLUX100 RGB light from Yongnuo company. Let's review that. If you buy this light as a kit, you'll get this pretty nice carrying case with even a code lock. It also comes with a strap so you can carry it easily with a trolley bag. The design is very robust and it's a high quality plastic. It comes with two durable rubber handles, and inside in foam you get all of the accessories. The light itself is mostly made out of plastic and metal, so the most important part, the bones mount, is made out of metal and it's a very tough and thick metal, really high quality. In the bottom left corner of the front part you can see the release button mechanism for your bones mount accessories, and on the bottom you can see the 1/4 inch thread mount, which is enhanced with metal plate. Here we can see the fan system, and it's also made out of metal on the back. The control knob is on the left bottom corner, and you can also press into this knob to navigate through the settings. Very comfy. The light features standard mode and enhanced mode, we'll talk about those in a second, and on the side you can see the toggle for the modes and also the menu and the mode buttons. And on the top we have a power switch. Also in the kit you'll find a power cord with this super nice leather-like strap, which is the first time I see this type of strap in the light kit. Also here we have the power brick with a special loop for easily hanging it from the C-stand, and one more strap. The overall length of the cables is around 2.5 meters. We also have this pretty nice handle, which can be used as a power handle with 2 NPF batteries, and you'll get this portable and pretty lightweight solution, and this is getting power from the NPF batteries only. Also, this handle features 1/4 inch threaded mount and a special border, so this light doesn't wobble at all. The yoke is pretty stiff, it's made out of partially metal and partially plastic, but it can easily handle the 90 cm softbox without sagging or creeping in or something else, so it's a pretty sturdy handle as well. And on the bottom we can see the metal enclosure for your spigot, so it's also pretty stiff. And here how it looks with 2 biggest NPF batteries, so you can have this portable solution and it will have about 60 watts of output compared to 120 watts in a regular mode when you're using the wall power. And when I was using the 8800 mAh batteries, 2 of those, I got this results in terms of battery life. In standard mode I got more than 3 hours, and in enhanced mode I got more than 1.5 hours. The handles with those 2 batteries weighs less than a kilogram, and the light itself is also just a bit less than a kilogram, so the whole setup will be less than 2 kilos, which is really manageable. The warm and cool LEDs themselves are in the middle of the light, and the RGB LEDs are on the outer part of the light, as you can see from this example. And also this light has constant power of 120 watts in enhanced mode when you're plugged into the wall power, and color temperature changes without power being unchanged. The CCT range is from 2000 Kelvin to 10,000 Kelvin. This light also features 30 customizable custom effects, so you can pick the effect, then if you flick it once again, you can change the frequency, up to 10 steps of frequency for each effect, and the intensity. And all of the effects are written in the manual, so you'd better take a snap to be able to understand which effect is which. On the display itself, you can change the channel, you can see that it's on 2.4 GHz, you can use your app, which I'm not bothering showing you because all the apps are actually the same for the lights, and you can change the intensity in 0.1% increments, which is nice. So if you are in CCT mode and you press and hold the main button, you'll go into the green magenta shift mode, and you have 10 steps of magenta and 10 steps of green adjustment. So let me show you. When you add the magenta, it adds a bit of red, and when you add green, it obviously adds some green. So here it is, the magenta shift and the green shift. And the changes are quite dramatic, keep that in mind. Here we have the enhanced mode, so it's the most amount of light that you can get from this light. Then the standard mode, it gets almost 2 times darker, and the enhanced mode once again. So I suggest just keeping it on the enhanced mode. Keep in mind that if you're using the NPF batteries, you have 2 times less wattage for the light. So here is the example on the NPF batteries on the left and from the wall power on the right, standard mode and enhanced mode. So today I'm going to be comparing this Yongnuo light to the Sokani X60, my favorite RGB light, and I did a review of the Sokani light on the channel, I'll leave a link down below. The Sokani is almost the same size, just a different form factor, but it's a bit heavier. And in my particular case, I actually broke the thread of this light right here on the mounting point, so it doesn't actually It can't be mounted anymore. Maybe I was doing something wrong, but still I had to mention this. So here's the first test. 90cm softbox with a grid around 1 meter away from my face. Let's have a look at the skin tone and brightness levels. So all of my camera settings are written on the bottom part and the light settings are written on the top part. So here's the Yongnuo light. We have pretty good value of the brightness because we are shooting at f5, and also we have pretty nice skin tone as well. Here's the Sokani. It is much less bright, as you can see right here, maybe even 2 times less bright. And also my skin looks a bit more magentish and reddish, which I don't like. And just out of curiosity, here is the Colbor CL220. It's a bicolor light, so no RGBs, but I'm using it at 50% power in silent fan mode, so it draws about 120 watts, and it's matching the Yongnuo light in its enhanced mode. So here are all 3 lights side by side, Sokani on the left, Yongnuo in the middle, and the Colbor on the right. The brightness difference between Sokani and Yongnuo is pretty substantial, but between Yongnuo and Colbor, not that big. And the skin tone is the best on the Yongnuo in my opinion. So here we have all 3 lights at 5600 Kelvin, 100% brightness, and as you can see the brightness difference is pretty substantial between Sokani and the Yongnuo, and the Colbor is still the brightest. In terms of the beam angle and overall light quality, Sokani shows pretty good results, very widespread and no color hues towards the edges of the beam. Sokani on the other hand does have a wider spread, a bigger beam angle, but also towards the corners and the edges we have a slight green shift. The Colbor is obviously the brightest and also it does have a slight shift towards the edges of the beam, towards green. So before we were using f2.8 aperture and now we're closed down to f5.6. And now we are using the kit reflectors on all 3 lights. The difference in brightness between Sokani and Yongnuo is now less, but the Colbor has a huge spike in the middle because it does have a pretty pronounced hotspot. So the performance with kit reflector of the Yongnuo light is almost flawless, we have no hotspot, and only towards the edges of the beam we have a slight auto membrane. And it does have the same performance in 5600 Kelvin and 3200 Kelvin as well. Sokani on the other hand does have some issues towards the edges of the beam, we have no hotspot, but towards the edge we have a very pronounced like reddish orangish membrane, which is not good. And in 3200 Kelvin it gets a little bit better in this regard. Colbor does have a huge hotspot in the middle and it's the worst performance of the reflector in my opinion, and the auto membrane is also really pronounced. But it also really depends on how you use this reflector, so if you want just bouncing the light off the ceiling, maybe it's not as bad. But guys, those are the RGB lights, so let's check the brightness and the hues of the RGB. So here we have the hue at 0, it's only the red color, and here I can definitely tell that those 2 images look almost identical, both in terms of brightness and in terms of color quality. Let's have a look at Yongnuo's beam angle, and it's pretty nice and flawless, let me say, really good performance here. And now the Sokani, it does have a slight outer membrane towards the edges, but nothing too crazy. And just out of curiosity, here I have a Lightwand Yongnuo 360 Mark II in its RGB mode, totally red, and here is the difference in brightness levels. So the RGB light ones are not the best choice if you want to cover the whole stage in one color. The RGB COB lights are much better in this regard. Now we're at hue 300, it's a mix of blue and red LEDs, or the purple color, and I can definitely tell the difference between those two because the Sokani is getting more red in the image, and the Yongnuo is giving us more true-to-life purple color. And if we look at the waveform, we can also say that the Yongnuo is a bit brighter. So let's check the beam angle without a reflector in this purple color, and the Yongnuo is showing good results. The Sokani is also not bad, but towards the extreme corners we can see a little split in the colors. We see the blue and the red outer ring. And here is the red plus blue LEDs on the Yongnuo 360 Mark II Lightwand and the difference in brightness values. It's huge. So now we're using the kit reflectors on both of the lights, and now the brightness levels are matched, but still in terms of color I would prefer the Yongnuo light. Now let's check the performance with kit reflector in RGB mode, and as you can tell it has a pretty even beam angle with a slight outer membrane, but it's like 8 out of 10. But the Sokani has a huge reddish and bluish outer ring, so it's not really usable. I would rate it at like 4 out of 10. So if you want to use the kit reflector and the RGB mode, I would suggest using the Yongnuo light. And now let's listen to the fan of all 3 lights I've mentioned above. So the price for the kit with the case of the Yongnuo light is around $300, and in my opinion it's a great value for this versatile kit. And compared to the Sokani light, the Yongnuo seems a better choice. You get an awesome case, and also the performance in RGB mode on the Yongnuo is much better, especially with the kit reflector. And all in all, the Yongnuo light is really versatile thanks to the handle for NPF batteries, so I do recommend this light. If you did enjoy this video guys, smash the like and subscribe buttons, and here is my full playlist of different light reviews for you to watch next. Thanks so much for watching, take care, bye.